We are going to be loading on in here. Again, as a reminder, my condolences to the Terran fans in the chat because Terrans are extinct here in the Tuna Cup. It's all about the Protoss and the Zerg.
Indeed, it is. And speaking of the Zerg, we are going to be loading in on data under the sea. It's a tale as old as time. Well, time is 20. Yeah, time is 22. Anyway, here in the bottom left-hand corner map, swinging all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we of course have our red Zerg player coming down from that high land known as Belarus. He's gonna be representing Platoon. Platoon. He is Nikich. I'm just gonna call him Nick for short.
And spawning in the top right hand corner of data under the sea, we have the best player in all of Indonesia, arguably the best Protoss in Southeast Asia. And there's some contention there, to be fair. Representing
Ranger
team
about to throw hands.
True. Ranger, sign up, mate.
Yeah.
Representing team GDA, it is Quantel.
Not to be confused with Quanta. Korean
True.
Terran.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, Quantel, it's been quite some time since we've seen him, but he is a historic player on this channel. We've casted him many times over the past couple of years, and the weird thing about him is that, again, he's a very sporadic player. He pops up every couple of months, but whenever he pops up, he's terrifying.
It's always around August, September,
Yeah.
November too, isn't it? I like how I missed out entirely on October. I forgot October exists. But yeah, it's always around this kind of end of summer, early fall kind of time.
Yeah, again,
There was once where he was active in like March and May, but that was an anomaly.
Yeah, there was a period where he was, playing every week in like Grand Platypus Open and stuff like that. But those times have come and gone. I'm sure, like many of our players in Southeast Asia, they have other priorities, whether it's studies or a full-time job. But it's cool to see Quantel still here nonetheless, representing Indonesia. There's not as many players in Indonesia, but Quantel, he's one of the best in Southeast Asia. Period.
He's literally the only one.
Oh, there's
Gomes Sujang.
Yeah, there's Gomes. That's Quantel.
I forgot what.
That's Quantel. I was gonna say Miss
Vivaldi.
Vivaldi, that's it. Vivaldi. Yeah,
Vivaldi, Miss Fanta. Wait, is Miss Fanta Indonesian or Vietnamese?
I think he's Vietnamese.
Okay, well.
Well, Vivaldi is the other one. Yes.
There we go.
God, it's actually been over a year since we've casted Vivaldi. I'm impressed that you remember his name. I'm very impressed.
I remember because Steel hammered it in to me.
Yeah. You guys had your 4 Springs meme that you were trying to work on.
I still don't understand it, but I nod
so
that Steel doesn't get an aneurysm.
But as we get into things, now I also have to wonder, Quantel, a player who isn't the most active player, has he been keeping up with current meta because he's opening up with an Oracle Burst?
Yeah. Question is, do we see a Twilight Council after this, or do we just see full Oracles being thrown down?
Oh, that's going to be the question. Meanwhile, when it comes to Nikich, we have been notified by Kuro, our lovely admin, that Nikich has been performing very well recently. He has been taking players, performing very well in these ESL weekly tournaments.
It's that Rye.
It's that Rye. It's rising, mate. It's rising high. And we personally haven't been able to witness what he has to offer, so I am ready to be impressed.
I am on the edge of my seat right now, yeah.
Boy, so far so good. We do see Twilight Council and a Forge behind this, so this is not going to be Glaive Adepts. This should be for Blink Stalkers with +1. So Quantel has been watching Hero.
Yeah, definitely keeping up with the meta, and we'll see if he's able to... I don't know, I mean, usually when we look at Quantel, we look more to see whether or not... Yeah, what his style looks like, but you know, the fact that for once he's playing on meta, I guess the second thing we're going to be looking for is his form.
Yeah, and you say on meta, but something that he's doing very differently is that he is going for a much faster robo, which is not typical with this style of play.
It's meta adjacent, yeah. But not really, but not really standard for what's going on right now.
Yeah, he's going for a little bit of a different variant of that Blink Stalker style. Meanwhile, the Oracles get here just in time to force a cancel here of the 4th base. Nicely timed, very nicely timed actually, by Quantel as he does back off. Meanwhile, Nikich, doing things as we typically expect against Blink Stalkers, is going for that +1 melee.
Yeah, you really don't want roaches in such a scenario. Especially since Quantel is going to follow up his Robo facility and his Blink Stalkers with a little bit of a Robo Bay. Now, of course, it could still be Colossus, and that's not what you want to face when you go for Lings, but most likely it's going to be for Disruptors.
I love this, by the way. Like, so we saw Iba like really show off this style, like mass Ling Queen Roach against Stardock, and it worked really well. It can really overwhelm, and it can get you a lot of momentum and take away momentum from the Protoss player. But because Quanta is doing a different variant, I actually wouldn't be opposed to Colossus, because we should be relying heavily on Lings, and Colossus, mate, they melt Lings. Like, Lings have a hard time, especially if there's a buffer in front of it. Or for Roaches, Disruptors. Like, either way, like either one of those, either form of splash damage will work.
Yeah, porque no los dos?
True.
Well, because it's hard to control, but Disruptors are going to be coming out first, and Nick, you know, he hasn't neglected his Roach count either. He himself is keeping his options open by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's going for Roach speed, he's going for Baneling speed as well. His Lings are still being active, trying to find a way in, but so far the defenses of Quanta have been pretty tight-knit. There we go, more cannons are on the way here. We have shield batteries. Baneling Runby is going to have a hard time breaking into this mineral line, at least at the 3rd base. Can't say this, I can't say the same for the 4th, as more side defense is thrown down.
Yeah, boy. Is it going to be enough, though? Well, Nick isn't being too, aggressive. He's focusing on his own macro, so yeah, Quantel, he still has this time to make use of to secure his expansions and what have you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like here on Data C, these first 4 bases are relatively easy to secure and relatively difficult to break. So Quantel has already achieved that much. Meanwhile, he's going to try and dive on top of the Queen here in the main base. Does retreat towards that Spore. He dives on in, loses 1 Oracle in the process, loses 2 Oracles.
In exchange for a Queen and all right number of drones. Good target firing right at the end there. But not the most efficient trade for triple Oracles.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time with this style. Like, Oracles have so much value outside of killing a handful of workers, like stasis traps, pulsar beams, revelations, clearing creep. I say that Quantel, because of this composition, he actually isn't being active on the map at all. Like, he is not contesting this creep spread by any means.
Yeah, that's kind of odd to look at right now, and it kind of makes sense of how he's playing. He's anticipating Nick to kind of push into him, and so he'll throw down a couple of Purification Novas. But it does also mean that Nick is in complete map control. He's finished up his hive, he's getting his Ultra Den, and it's only 9 minutes right now. He has not been contested at all throughout this entire game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Quantel did scout the hive as it was morphing in, so he's aware of that tech, but I mean, that could be for Vipers, it could be for Ultras, it could be for Lurkers. Like, he's still a little bit in the dark when it comes to the tech of choice here. Meanwhile, Quantel is finally pushing into creep with a little bit of a vulnerable army. He has to be careful not to commit too hard. There we go. He only dips in, then dips out.
And this army can definitely get surrounded pretty easily, but it doesn't. He'll lose a couple of adepts. Adepts? Yeah. Big adepts. Archons. For nothing, though.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Disruptors are waiting for the Roaches to come on in. He was able to catch a Baneling run-by before it was able to really come into play. So a nice catch there by Quantel. He's cleaning up the creep in this northern area, looking to maybe expand and take a 5th base here towards the north. Up, up, up.
But not quite getting it yet. The Banelings are going to be stopped by the cannons. One connects in the end. We'll get 6 probes. Not that many in the grand scope of things.
Yeah, it's a decent amount. It's like the equivalent of the drones that he lost earlier in his main base. Meanwhile, another Baneling run-by is being set up here outside the 4th base. Zealot run-by being set up towards the north as well. Quantel pushing onto creep, clearing up a lot. Actually throwing down a couple of stage traps behind his army. Up.
And the Banelings crash into the Archons. Barely any of them go down. A couple of corrosive biles will force a bit of a retreat from Quantel, but not for too much longer. Banelings don't get too much value, and Nikich, however, on the other side of the map, is able to defend the run-by. What about this army, though?
That's the question. I'm really worried because the Banelings did almost nothing, but this time the Banelings roll on in. They do connect with that gateway army. The Archons weren't where they needed to be. It looks like the Disruptor's going to be able to zone away the Roaches for now, but there's just not a lot of buffer. There's just not a lot of army, period.
Yeah, Nick definitely has a lot of supply, but it is currently in production. Every high-tech unit Nick is able to kill, though, is going to be worth it for him. He's already taken out a Disruptor. Quantel has lost about half of his Archon force. That's the end of that Oracle.
Yeah, the Oracle gets cleaned up the run-by as well, and that's what I was referring to. Like, Quantel he doesn't have a War Prism, he doesn't have a way to reinforce his army, he just doesn't have a lot of buffer at all, and he lost a lot of Archons in that push. Things were looking really good to begin with. If you remember the fight here, where a massive amount of Ling Bane crashed into the Archons, and nothing of Protoss died.
Nothing died, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh my god. But Quantel maybe being a little bit overconfident after that fight.
I definitely think he overextended a little bit, and now Nick is making full use of it. The Ultras are out! You'll love to see it.
Yeah, the Ultras are here. We do have 3-3 on the way. Kindness plating is done, and we see a little bit of a surround being set up here. We do have the Stasis Trap catching a lot of Banelings.
And the Stasis Trap, on top of that, also provides a little bit of SimCity here for Quantel. It is not going to be enough, however. Those Disruptors, they killed a couple of Ultras, but nowhere near enough of them. Nick completely routs his army.
Oh, exactly.
But he's having difficulty pushing forward.
At the same time, it looks like we had a massive Ling run-by here into the main base. 10 probes are going to be going down, and it's going to force Quantel to respond. At the same time, Ling Ultra getting on top of these Archons. They don't have the support of the shield battery. Overcharge was just used.
Yeah, Nick, again, he kills the Archons. He is starting to lose his Ultras, but I think we're at the point where, Nick has killed enough high-tech units that he can start overwhelming Quantel with Lings and Banes and Roaches.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, his economy is just too great here. He's got 98 workers. He's taking another base. The Madman is on, 7-8 bases already. And he's just, Quantel just can't expand. Every single time he tries to take a 5th, it just gets denied.
Every single time. And now the 4th base is looking a little more vulnerable too.
Oh boy, it is. No, he moves away just at the wrong time.
And that has got to be the death blow. There are a couple of choke points here, but the entire worker count gets evaporated, and there's still Banelings left over to hit the underbelly of Protoss. GG is called. Nikich? Nick takes game number 1.
GG, well played. He does take the first game there. A very interesting style coming out from Quantel. Sure, it was Blink Stalker. Sure, it was triple Oracle to begin with. But yeah, in the mid game, he went for something very, very different. Very different.
Very different. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was more of like a... He was working up towards more of a brute force style of Protoss, where he pushes out with one major army, with your Archons, with your Disruptors, and it was looking like a scary army. Don't get me wrong. Like, again, that first fight was looking really good, but there wasn't a lot. It didn't feel like there was that much sustainability and that much micro potential with the army. Definitely
not, especially without a Warp Prism there to kind of juggle. He definitely neglected Stalkers quite a bit. So I think, yeah, that's a really good way of describing that army. Archons, Immortals, and occasionally a couple of Zealots or Disruptors. That's a brute force army for Protoss. You know what I just realized, Light? He never got a Twilight Council. Or no, never got a Templar Archives. God damn it. He never got a Temple Archives.
Oh, yeah.
Those Archons, they were all from DTs.
Yeah. I remember seeing the Dark Shrine on the way, and I guess, yeah, piecing it together, he never went for Storm either, despite the mass amount of Ling Bane. Yeah, interesting there from Quantel. We'll see if we see that again, or if he tries to mix things up as we get into game number 2.
Numero dos. Or wait, what are they in Belarus? I never got up to the alphabet in that, or not the alphabet, the numbers in that Duolingo, of course. Anyway, we are going to be continuing our final semifinals. I just realized how dumb that sounds. Of the evening, we're here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of inside and out, and outside and in. We have the red Zerg player coming out from the land of Belarus, the highlands, if you will. Going to be representing Platoon. We have Nikich. I'm not sure how to pronounce.
Nikki.
Nikki! He's your cousin.
And sporting in the top right-hand corner of inside and out, we have the best Protoss player in all of Indonesia, representing Team GDA. It is Quantel.
Guru is telling me it's probably regular, like a CH, so...
Nikich.
What?
You said regular CH, right? Or
yeah, regular CH. So like, you know, because it's at the end of the word, not at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But then again, there are some that are at the beginning that are like "k" as well.
Nikki, if you're listening, I would love to have you tell us how to pronounce your name. I'd love that. Thank you, please.
Wait, can we paint on it?
Oh god.
Nikita Masalov.
There you go. But yeah, something that I also want to bring up as we're struggling and stumbling around the player names is that something that we glossed over, and something that I want to mention while we have the chance, is that Quantel didn't have an easy road to the semifinals either. We were alluding to him, you know, like being a terrifying opponent, terrifying a player whenever he shows up. He actually took down Demi to get here.
Yeah. Demi, the Zerg menace, he has pretty much consistently been a top 4 player in the Sparkling Tuna Cup every single time, and for Quantel to deny that not only is impressive, it also means he's the top performing Southeast Asia / Oceania player.
Yeah. Quantel
of the week.
Yeah, he's already going to be walking away with a little bit of money. Again, I'm just impressed because if you remember, Demi, he's the one who went all the way to the ace match versus Nightmare that won Sparkling Tuna Cup a couple of weeks ago. Like, Demi is no slouch in this matchup. So for him to be taken out, again, I'm sure maybe he was caught off guard by Quantel and his interesting compositions that he's been going for. Yeah, we'll see if he keeps it up, as once again, Stargate opener.
Stargate Oracle. It's gonna be coming out. What is the follow-up going to be? Maybe it's gonna be a Twilight console.
You okay, Yaku? You're like, I've been studying for 3 months straight, Bobby, get me out! I haven't been able to ladder in 2 seasons.
Essays, Bobby.
What are you saying?
I had to turn in my essay. I had to be a snitch.
Oh god. So yeah, we'll see how things kind of unravel here. Last game, if you remember, Quantel did open up with triple Oracle into Blink Stalkers. This time, only Juan.
Only Juan?
Only Juanito.
So what's the follow-up gonna be?
That's a
We're
good...
all dying to know.
Yeah, so far the Lings are here checking. We do see a faster third base here from Quantel, but the Adept gets surrounded. The Adept is going to go down, and this is going to force the Oracle to come back to protect the third.
And just like that, you know, Quantel already not getting too much damage across the map with that Oracle. Actually getting no damage across the map with that Oracle. It's going to get absolutely none for quite some time. And in the meanwhile, Nikki is going to drone up a whole lot.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be joining up. Meanwhile, we do have the Overlord dipping into the main base, confirming that we do have a very delayed second Oracle on the way. And quickly checking the vision here, Nikki did see the Forge and Twilight Council.
Yeah, already a very good tell here for Nikki. To know how he can proceed. He knows he has a little bit of time where Quantel shouldn't be too aggressive. So, again, he's utilizing that time to get +1 melee, anticipating Blink. And also Rochorn, just to keep his options open.
Yeah, so far a really solid response here from Nikki. And from the side of Quantel, again, a very interesting manner of getting here, only working on 2 oracles. The second one was delayed, bearing in mind. He's going for a faster 4th base, and typically if you're going for this Blinkstalker style, you do need like an exceptional economy to support and sustain it. This makes me believe that he doesn't intend to go Disruptor this time.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing more of a traditional, I say traditional, but a more traditional Swarm Toss kind of style coming out from Quantel.
Modern?
Modern, or typical, I guess. It is modern, but it's also contemporary. It's quite you know, minimalist and very much so gothic.
What are you saying right now? You're not making any sense, Yaku. It's
yeah, catalog.
It's very Gucci.
Yeah.
A little bit Armani.
A little bit.
Oh my god.
He did sign up this week, though.
He did. As you do see a little bit of a link run right here at the 4th base. At least forces, and then again another activation of the Pulsar Beam here by the Oracles. Because of this, they can't really support the Stalkers as much as they otherwise could. And again, it's really weird. Despite Quantel going for Blink Stalkers, like he's relatively inactive. He cleared up a little bit of creep, but Nikich, he's not deterred at all.
Yeah, he's just spreading the creep one by one on just about every corner of the map. And again, because he was able to secure that map control with just one Ling Run by, that one Ling Run by really spooked Quantel. Nicky's just taking this opportunity to get to Hive, and it's not even the 8-minute mark.
Yeah, he is rushing his way to Hive. Very greedy play here by Nikki. We'll see what he does with it. He could go Ultras again, and Ultras can do really well against Blink Stalkers, especially without Immortals or Void Rays to support them. So that'd be a very nice, like, kind of way to take advantage of what Quantel's been doing. Meanwhile, Quantel being a little bit active with his Stalkers, but also taking a very fast 5th.
Yeah, well, he's trying to anyway. That was a kill and not a cancel. Quantel's attention is really being stretched right now by trying to expand and attack at the same time, and also defend at the same time, and it's not working out well at all for him.
Yeah, exactly. Nikki defends on his left-hand side. He attacks on the right as well. Quantel just hasn't been able to catch a break. And it is, in fact, going to be those Ultras. Ultra Cavern is on the way. Adrenal Glands, Cracklings are on the horizon as well. He's got everything he needs right now. At this point, all he has to do is just make army, defend, wait for his upgrades, and then overwhelm Quantel. Quantel, the onus is on him to try and stop that from happening, to try and stop Nikki before he gets too much momentum.
And he's weighing his options right now. He's trying to figure out what a good angle of attack would be, but he's just not finding it. He's moving into creep, and Nikki is crushing the army because of it.
Oh my god, we see a full surround as well. He tries to blink backwards, but again, the creep is a little bit too great. The Oracles are doing what they can, but the Lingbane is connecting here with these Stalkers.
Just a massive chunk of... It already was a great army to begin with, but just a massive chunk of the Stalkers being taken out before the big engagement with Ultralisk happens. That's pretty terrifying. Surprisingly, a lot of probes survive.
Mate, If that was 4 seconds later, all those probes would have died. +2 just finished. A bit of an a bit of an anti-timing there. A little bit lucky for Quantel not to lose too many of his workers, but he's still going to lose his army. He tries to be active once again with his gateway force, but he gets cleaned on up. And now with those upgrades finishing, we have kindness plating. We have +3. Like, things are still getting a little bit out of control. Quantel did at least get this 5th up.
And there's definitely a start for him. He's got a very healthy worker count. Too healthy, arguably. 100 workers is the... and he's still making more.
Oh, but stop! Oh my god, he has another worker on the way. Haas, is that you? To be fair, he's making a lot of workers because he knows he's about to lose a bunch of workers.
Yeah, it makes sense. He knows he can afford to lose these workers now that Nikki is pushing in, but it does also mean that he's hurting a little bit in the army supply. He's traded very efficiently, though, in this southern front.
Exactly. 23 probes have gone down. The Ling run by it does eventually get cleaned up here, but Nikki was just clearing up some supply because Ultras are on the way. And again, we don't have a proper answer to Ultras. We do not have Immortals. The first Robo is on the way, but again, it's still on the way, and the Ultras are going to be coming out on the map in a couple of moments.
Is it copium if I feel like Quantel can kite the Ultras?
He can.
It may be. He can, yeah.
Off of creep, he can, I believe.
It's a lot of creep, though.
Yeah, it's a lot of creep.
And the, yeah. It's in theory, you know, if you have infinite room, Stalkers outrange Ultras. They do have a little bit of bonus damage against against armored, but Quantel very quickly is running out of room to maneuver.
Oh, he is. Thankfully, he falls back to stasis trap, so that's going to be able to buy him a little bit of time. Ultras have been revealed, and with that Robo finishing up, we should be seeing a couple of Immortals on the way. There's a second Robo being thrown down for that double Immortal production. Quantel going for a Zealot round by, is going to deal some counter damage, is going to take out a hatchery.
And with, I was going to say Nikki's going to be hurting a little bit when it comes to the income, but actually still pretty even, despite being on equal bases.
Yeah, relatively even. We even have a third Robo being thrown. Oh, sorry, that's still the second Robo being thrown down. At the same time, a couple of Stalkers harassing on the right-hand side of the map. Can Nikki hold on? These Ultras, without support, they're being focused down.
Yeah, look at that. Natural predator of Ultras are Stalkers, after all.
True.
Or a pack of Stalkers.
I mean, this was an expensive loss. 3 Ultras just got taken out.
Yeah, for basically nothing. And even if all of those Stalkers were taken out, that's still not worth trading 3 Ultralists.
Yeah, like, Nikki has to be careful not to be too inefficient. Like, to be fair, like, he still has a bank, not a large one, but a bank nonetheless. Like, he's still maxed out with a pretty sizable army, but I appreciate this. I think he recognizes that Ultras may not end the game, so he is going for a Spire, potentially for Broodlords.
Yeah, Broodlords would be a really good option, but we might not even see that happening. The Banelings are able to loop around and completely crush this force of Quantel. Nikki is trying to remax as quickly as possible with Lings, but can they get to the front lines in time?
That is the question, as the first wave of Immortals have come out. Transfuses are on point. They will barely keep these Ultras alive, and Quantel has to respect this. He has to back one up. Yes. At the same time, Ling Bane Ultra run by here at the 4th base.
Battery overcharge ain't gonna help too much here, not when there's instant damage.
Oh, exactly. Banelings do detonate. 10 workers go down. These Ultras are going to get picked up again. And wow, the overcharge barely keeping this cannon alive. Another fight here on the right-hand side. Nikich is trying to break on through.
And he almost did, but a very quick warping of Zealots has something to say about that. A couple of Banelings here can make the difference, but it's not going to be enough. Quantel, for the first time this game, I think, has been able to turn the tides.
Mate, those Immortals did a lot of work. They they absolutely obliterated all of those Ultras, but Quantel has to be careful not to overextend. He has to be careful not to lose this army.
It really, really does. This is the main force that he has right now as he tries to reinforce. Nikich is remaxing with ultras, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I mean, the immortal count was just reset. The answer to the ultras were the immortals, and now there are none on the map.
All right, just like that, I was doubting Nikki, but maybe I shouldn't have. Okay, now 2 immortals.
There's two more on the way.
They're chilling though, dude. That's the advantage of double robo.
There you go. So Quantel, he needs to pump out these immortals ASAP right now. There is a window though of opportunity where Nikki can still utilize this tech advantage because the immortals are left a little bit idle here at the third base.
I feel like Nikki hasn't recognized that yet. He's still sending run-bys to try to disrupt the economy, but you know, if he pulls his forces together and takes one good fight, he very much could be on his way to winning the game.
He definitely could, as Nikki is looking to remax once again. The Spire is done. No greater Spire in sight, unfortunately. But right now he's trying to focus on droning, trying to focus on regaining his side of the map.
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like maybe a couple of Mutalisks in this scenario might be enough to put Nikki over the edge.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, here we go. Once again, the Immortals are left a little bit exposed. They are going to be going down left and right, and now the Ultras keep on pushing, but they don't have that much HP remaining. Can they break him?
Well, just at the last second there, the Lings and Banes come in to provide enough of a buffer. GG is called. Nikich is going to be taking that best of 3 semifinalists 2-0, but he had to work for it. Very nicely done here.
Yeah, GG, well played. I was so worried towards the end there because there was a moment where I took a step back and I looked and like Quantel's like economy was still on fire, like
booming. Yeah,
like booming. I should say it wasn't dying.
It was on fire. Take with that what you will, positive or negative, because you know what?
Yeah,
it was healthy.
Yeah,
and it was impacting his army supply.
Yeah, it's like it was on fire, but it was also on fire.
Yeah, you know?
As we saw a couple of mineral lines multiple times just get obliterated by mainly run-bys. But yeah, like Quantel, his mass expand style meant that he could kind of facilitate these questionable fights here and there. His teching was really working out for him. Like he was forcing inefficient fights with those ultras by having all those immortals. That was still a close game. GG.
Yeah, arguably closer than it should have been, but in the end, yeah, Deep Value is actually bringing a very good point up in the chat. Quantel just never makes warp prisms.
Yeah, he doesn't.
So even though he is able to win defensive battles and counterattack pretty quickly, he just can't reinforce that counterattack at all.
Yeah, like we pointed it out in the first game, and it's very applicable to the second game as well. Like War Prism, it's not just about reinforcing and keeping that pressure up, but also being able to save immortals, to micro them against ultras, and be able to work with that, right? Like there wasn't that much anti-air for our Zerg players. So War Prism would have gone uncontested for the most part. So yeah, an interesting choice there, an interesting choice. But with that, congratulations, because Nikich, he moves on to the grand finals for the first time.
Already securing himself a little bit of prize money here as we get into the grand finals. But first, we have a little something special to the when it comes to the Sparkling Tuna Cup on our hands here.